Hey guys, it's Stephanie. At the beginning of the year, I made a video about 15 books I wanted to read in 2018. And right now, we're in April, which is about a third of the way through the year, so I wanted to let you know how I was doing. And it's been going really well. I'm actually exactly a third of the way through the list. So out of 15, I've read 5 books. I mean, I'm doing this obviously as an accountability measure for myself. So I wanted to talk about the 5 books that I've read that I've really enjoyed and the 5 books I think I'm going to tackle next on the list. So the most recent book, I am so glad that I finished it because it was the biggest, most intimidating book on the list, and that was George Eliot's Middlemarch. Like I said, I did this with Kate Howe. I loved this so much more than I thought I was going to. This had a lot more of a broad scope than I thought it would. The synopsis, it basically focused on one character, when in reality, it's about this whole town of people and everything that they're going through and the decisions that they make and the consequences of those decisions and societal standards. And it was just about so much, and I enjoyed it. I loved George Eliot's writing and how she had these snarky descriptions of characters just in there when she was talking about people. It was so great. So I'm glad to have read this. I definitely think everything on the list seems a lot more doable now that this gigantic book is read. Another book that I read on the list was The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. I was a little hesitant about reading this because I saw that this is kind of urban fantasy, which is usually not my thing. But I listened to the audiobook and I think that really helped. And this was really interesting. I liked this again a lot more than I thought I was going to. This is about 12 children who are kind of adopted by this man they call father. And I can't really say a lot because there's so much you have to read in the story and find out, but it's very supernatural and crazy. The stakes in this story are very high and it was just very readable. I want to check out something else by Scott Hawkins because this was so much fun. Now to kind of break things up, a book that I didn't like as much as I thought I was going to on the list was Ryu Murakami's Audition. I went in with really high expectations that the cult movie based on this book has, which is like, it's crazy, and this was very slow and mostly about this widower pursuing this very strange relationship, and then the last like 15 pages are crazy, but it didn't feel earned with how slow everything was dragged out and then how crazy that last chapter or 2 is. It didn't feel earned, and I did not enjoy it as much as I thought I would, unfortunately. The first book that I finished off the list at the beginning of the year was Anni Proulx's The Shipping News, which I did as a buddy read with Devin at the Indie Insomniac. And this is about a man who moves to Newfoundland to his ancestral home. He's never been there, but his parents and his grandparents are from there. And so it's about him moving his family there. He's kind of lost everything in his life at this point before he moves there. And it was funny because I did this with Devin, and Devin, is from and currently lives in Newfoundland. So he was telling me everything they were talking about, references that characters made to political situations in the day or economic situations. He was giving me the background on, which really helped my enjoyment of this novel and the research that Anni Proulx put into this, that she actually lived there for a year while writing this story. And you can tell I really enjoyed it. A story with multiple generations and about new beginnings and histories and starting over. I thought it was very well done. And then I read Julia Alvarez's In the Time of the Butterflies, which is historical fiction based on the Mirabal sisters in the Dominican Republic during the Trujillo dictatorship, who were assassinated. And I really liked this book. This book is told through the different perspectives of the sisters and the one surviving sister basically narrating what happened as well. This was fine. I love Julia Alvarez, but then at the end you find out that this was heavy on the fictional part of historical fiction, and since this was based on very real women who put their lives on the line to fight this dictatorship, I wanted to know more about them and not the speculation and made up storylines that went with it. So I wanted a little more out of this, but I still love Julia Alvarez. How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accent is one of my favorite books, so we'll definitely be checking out more by her. So I have here the next 5 books that I want to tackle from that list. The first one is A Constellation of Vital Phenomena by Anthony Marra. This was gifted to me by my husband's uncle, who kind of just sent it to me out of the blue. So I feel like that's a sign and I have to read this. And also, a lot of people that I love and trust on BookTube love this book. So I definitely feel like this is one I need to get to, and I'm really excited to do so. I also have Barbara Kingsolver's Prodigal Summer. At this point, I have 3 Barbara Kingsolver books on my shelf, and I've read 0 of them. This seems to be like a good place to start. I know Liz at Liz Schubert, who shares a lot of common favorite books with me, really liked this book, which gives me hope that I will like it too. So I'm really excited to get to this, and I believe the audiobook is on Hoopla. I also want to get to A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest J. Gaines. I just think I have to brace myself for all the emotions I'm gonna feel. One that I want to tackle really soon is The Gathering by Anne Enright. This seems to be like an Irish family story about the siblings gathering at the funeral of one of their siblings and getting together and reminiscing about the past. Hoping this will be the one out of the 5 that I get to first. Lastly, I need to read The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. I feel like every time the audiobook shows up, it comes with an avalanche of audiobooks that I requested, so it always keeps getting pushed to the side of more exciting things or things I need to read for the podcast or things that I need to have read. So hopefully the timing will work out and I will get to read this. So this is The Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. Seems really dark and really interesting. A lot of people love Sarah Waters' work, and since this is the one I own by her, I want to start here before heading to like the Fingersmith. So excited to get to this. Hopefully it'll work out, that it'll come at the right time. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I finished, and if you agree with me, or if you have any thoughts on the books that I want to tackle next. Like I said, thanks again for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye!